StrayAllDay.com.
Now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative, which is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques, all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is don't overthink it. Do not overthink it. But before we get into this, let me remind everybody or inform you. I send out a text message every single day, guaranteed to have you focus sharp and on point to start your day. I also send out a weekly one, guaranteed to have you focus on point and sharp to start the week. I call them respectively the daily motivation and the Monday motivation. You want to be receiving these text messages. I'm not even asking you, I'm telling you. So let me tell you what to do to get them. Text me at my number, 305-384-6894. And when those messages go out, because you're a member of my text community, that's the only reason, not for any other reason, you're going to be getting these messages straight to your phone, and they're going to do exactly what I just told you they're going to do. So just text me right now. It's free of charge to text me. My number is 305, again, 384-6894. Secondly, Work on Your Game University. That's a place where I do all my coaching. That's the only place I work with anyone directly. That's the only place where you can get hands-on help from me on a regular basis. And the way you get started in the university is by going to workonyourgameuniversity.com. That page is as simple can get. We give you an option. You can schedule a call to get on the line with me or somebody on our team completely free of charge, find out where you're at, where you want to go. And if we can help you, we'll let you know how it works. And if we can't help you, we'll let you know that as well. And then you have the option of getting into our group programs. So we got levels for everybody. Again, workonyourgameuniversity.com. All that out the way, let's get into the topic. Definition of overthinking is you think about something too much or for too long. Now, both of those terms, too much and too long, are relative terms. Too much for one person is not too much for another person. So it can mean different things to different folks in different circumstances as well. Too much today might not be too much tomorrow. So in the work on your game world, however, we focus on urgency and doing things now and fast, which you should know if you listen to the show. So once we've decided that something is going to be done, any extra time spent thinking about it becomes too much time. Everybody got it? And that added time makes the situation now take too long. So you see how we made that simple? So let's talk about where you can stop overthinking things in your life. Point number one. Topic once again is do not overthink it. Number one, when you see an opportunity you want to take it. Let me say that again. Sometimes I use very long sentences and very big words. So let me repeat this sentence just in case it went over anybody's head. It was too complicated. When you see an opportunity you want to take it. Justify it later with your logic, but take it right now. This is, generally speaking, the mindset of the entrepreneur. This is what we do as entrepreneurs. We see an opportunity, we go jump in, and then we figure it out on the way. Entrepreneurs, usually, we jump off cliffs before our parachute is ready. That's what we do. We jump off the cliff, we're on our way down, we're hurtling down towards the surface of the earth, and we build the parachute while we're on our way down. Whereas most other people, those who are not that crazy, you try to make sure all your parachute and landing gear is intact before you jump. The problem is, by the time you jump, all the opportunity's been taken off the table because you took too long. So you see what I mean? When I say overthinking is too long and adding too much time, this is what the entrepreneur does. This is why entrepreneurs generally are the people who make the most money. Right? Look at the list of the richest people in the world and notice that most of them are entrepreneurs. Go buy the Forbes 400 magazine, you'll see it. Go look at the list online. You'll see most of them are entrepreneurs, or they are the descendants of entrepreneurs. Why? Because they go and jump and then they figure it out. I'm not saying that's the only reason they made it, but you get the point. You get the spirit of what I'm saying. If we want to do something that's completely safe, entrepreneurs I'm talking about here, well, what we would do is go get a job and work for somebody else, even though that's not, quote unquote, it's not always as safe as it seems, but it's safer than being an entrepreneur in a general sense. Also, whether you're an entrepreneur or not, let's get to the point here. Whether we're talking about work or not, keep this in mind. The best opportunities in life do not sit around and wait for everybody to catch on to what's going on. Any of you who's in finance, any of you who's in investing, whether you do it for a living or you are just personally, you do a good amount of financial investing. What are the best opportunities? The best opportunities are the ones that everybody hasn't taken advantage of yet. The ones that people can't quite see as a winner yet, but you see a winner before it becomes a winner, and then you bet on it. You bet on it before it's winning. So if you bet on it after it's winning, doesn't mean you can't get some opportunity out of it, but you're not going to cash out as much as the person who bet on it before it was winning. All right, any of you got into Bitcoin when it was $100? Okay. Even as it went up and a little bit down and up and a little bit down, you're winning right now. You're still up, right? Because you bet on it before it became a common thing to bet on. This is generally how life works, folks. You got to bet on something before it becomes generally accepted as a winning idea. That's how you win the biggest. Doesn't mean you can't win. If you can go buy some Apple stock today, and hey, you'll make some money, but you're gonna make as much as the person who invested in it back in 1990. No, best opportunities do not wait for everybody to catch on. Best opportunities are available for short periods of time, then they get snatched up and used up by people we call early adopters, the people who move what? Quickly, people who move fast. So, if any of you has ever rationalized passing on an opportunity by saying something stupid like, I'm not saying you're stupid, but this thing, if you ever said this is stupid, say something like, if it's available now, this opportunity is available today, well, hey, it'll be available tomorrow. It'll be available in 6 weeks. It'll be available in 6 months. No, it will not. You're 100% wrong. It will not be available. That's the reason why it's an opportunity, folks. All right, it is not. It will not be available later. That's why it's an opportunity, because it won't be available until you to sit around and wait until you decide to take advantage of it. That's not an opportunity. I don't know what you want to call that, but it ain't an opportunity. When you take too long, what happens is you think yourself out of opportunities. Now that doesn't mean, hey, if you don't buy this thing today, it doesn't mean you can't buy it in 6 months. But you're a different person 6 months from now. 6 months of your life have gone away. You're 6 months closer to dying. So is it the same opportunity? No, it's not the same opportunity. Right, we just got to put some logical, rational thinking into this, and you got to stop rationalizing your delays as if they're completely arbitrary. They ain't arbitrary. All right, the most non-arbitrary thing in your life is your use of time. Why? Because you run out of it, it's over. All right, you run out of money, you can come back. Run out of time, game over. So when you add 6 months to a situation saying, well, it's the same opportunity, no, it ain't. You ain't the same person. Your life ain't the same. You're 6 months closer to death. How is that the same? You've already seen this numerous times in your own life. An opportunity passed on does not keep popping up and hoping that you finally take advantage of it. It goes on to the next contestant. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is don't overthink it. Number 2, set up principles and rules for yourself and always follow them. This is a really simple concept that many of you violate. Set up principles and rules for yourself and always follow them. I.e., if your rule is you work out every day, then there's no question as to whether if you're going to work out. Oh, you had a long night last night, so what's the rule? Oh, your kids kept you up late yesterday, or one of your kids is sick and they kept crawling into bed with you, so what's the rule? Oh, it's snowing outside. What's the rule? It's raining? What's the rule? It's Christmas? What's the rule? You're on vacation. What's the rule? Again, if you have a rule in place, then you have a rule in place. Now, if you keep making exceptions to a rule, then you no longer have a rule. What you have is a suggestion or a hope or a wish, but it damn sure ain't a rule. See, if the rule is every day, that means every day. If the rule is get this done in 30 minutes, and it's not 35, it's not 37, it's not 42, it's 30. That's what a rule sounds like. Any of those of you who are entrepreneurs, any of you ever had a boss before who would have you do stuff at a pace that was a little bit uncomfortable for you and outside of your normal range of doing things? They would put things on your plate that you were like, how the hell am I ever going to get this done in this amount of time? And you somehow, some way figured out how to get it done. All right, that's the way you need to treat yourself. Every organization must have a boss. So if you're working by yourself, you need to be the boss of your own organization. And if you're not doing a good job of that, i.e., you lack discipline, i.e., you are procrastinating, i.e., you are failing to follow through, what you need to do is go hire yourself a coach who can act as that boss, who will hold you accountable to make sure the shit that you need to get done gets done. Whatever needs to happen in order for you to get things done, get it done. And if you are failing to get it done on your own volition, involve someone else in the process to help you get it done. There's nothing wrong with that. That's not weakness. That's a sign of intelligence. If I know I can't get something done on my own, I'm going to enlist someone who can help me get it done, because the goal is not to prove that I did it myself. The goal is to get it done. What business are we in, folks? Results-based business. Not do-it-yourself-based business, results-based business. Many of you live as if you're in a do-it-yourself-based business. The problem is your business is failing because doing it yourself ain't working because you are unqualified. All right, these are the reasons. This is the reason why you're not getting the outcomes that you want. You got an unqualified person in charge. You got to know when to fire yourself from certain jobs, everybody. And none of us is good at every job. So if you're doing everything in your life, I guarantee you are unqualified in at least half of the things you're doing. Because I've never met a human who was good at everything. Not one. I know a lot of talented people. One thing that makes decision making too slow for many humans and makes it too long for a lot of you is that people have to figure out the rhyme and reason for every decision every time something is presented to them. See, what high level people do instead is they come up with a set of rules, principles, and parameters for certain circumstances that they know will be coming across, they'll be coming across repeatedly, and allow those parameters to make the decisions for them. In other words, set up a framework. Okay, every time this happens, you do this, then this, then this. Any of you who has staff and you have delegated to people, you tell them, okay, when this happens, that means this, that means you do this, then you do that, then you do that. You follow these steps. Every time this happens, do this. Every time that happens, do that. That is setting up parameters. Tim Ferriss talks about this a lot in his book, The 4 Hour Work Week. It was a bunch of experiments he did on himself and his situation where he was completely overwhelmed and time was getting away from him. That led him to basically he was forced into figuring out what became the 4 Hour Work Week, the processes that became that, because he was like, all right, this is not working. What I'm doing right now is untenable. I'm doing everything. He had to fire himself from many roles, and that's how he created this whole concept of the 4 Hour Work Week. Now, he doesn't work 4 hours, but the whole concept was about freeing up his space mentally and physically. Another example, author by the name of Derek Sivers. He ran a company called CD Baby back in the day. Some of you may remember CD Baby back when we used to order CDs. And every time when he was running his company, he had a big warehouse and an office. Every time a customer would call the office or the warehouse and ask a question, one of Sivers' staff will come to Derek Sivers, the boss, and say, well, what do we do in this situation? He would stop what he was doing, call the whole team over to him. He would explain what the situation was. He would give the answer, and he would say to his assistant, write down that situation and write down my answer in this manual that became the employee handbook. So every time a question came up, all he did was gather everybody up, answer the question, and then he would have his assistant write it down, and that became the standard operating procedures of the company. Simple concept, and it worked. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is don't overthink it. Understand that thinking, folks, is based on what you currently know and who you currently are. Let me say that again. All your current thinking right now, everything that's going on in your brain right now is based on one thing or two things. What you currently know and who you currently are. You can't think about something that you don't know. Right? You can't think about something that isn't in your brain. And it's all based on your current person, who you are right now today. Which means thinking hard usually keeps you in the range of where you are today. So when you think hard on a situation, well, what source material are you drawing from? You're only drawing from the source material that already exists in your brain, meaning you are limited by your current knowledge or your current ignorance, actually, and your current ignorance. So when you think hard about a situation and you're like, I got to think about it, think about it, think about it, and you add time to a situation by saying you need to think about it, here's the issue with that is that you ain't going to think of anything that you don't already know. You're not going to think of anything that doesn't already exist in your head. Now, that does not mean you may not pull something out of the depths of your brain that maybe you weren't considering 5 minutes ago. Now you're thinking about it now, or you weren't considering it yesterday, but now it came to you overnight. I'm not saying that's the case, but you are limited by what you know. You're limited by your own experiences, your own intelligence, and your own ignorance. If your goal is advancement and growth, I'm talking big advancement and big growth, not small 1% at a time, but 10, 20, 100% at a time growth. If that's the kind of growth you want to make in your life, understand that your current level of thinking is not sufficient to logically move you forward at a pace that respects your limited time. Now, if you want to get better 1% at a time and just slowly stair step your way as far as you can go in the rest of your life, okay, then disregard what I'm saying here. But if your goal is to do 10 times better than you're doing now, and most of the people who I talk to say they want to do 10 times better than they're doing now. I was talking to someone the other day. He said he's starting a new business. So this is pre-revenue. He hasn't made any money yet from this business, but by this time next year, he wants to be making $100,000 a month. Not $100,000 a year, $100,000 a month. And I told him the same thing I'm going to tell you. In order for him to get to that level, most of the ways that he thinks right now will have to be completely thrown out and replaced with whole new ways of thinking. Because the way he thinks right now has him at a business that's making $0. You want to make $100,000 a month, you're not going to get there with your current level of thinking. So he was telling me all the stuff that he wanted to do. Well, my ideas, I'm going to do this and this and this and this. Most of the things he has as ideas are probably not going to happen that way, the way that he thinks, because the way that he's thinking right now is limited by what he knows right now. What he knows right now has him at a business that's making $0. See, to get to a business making 100,000, his way of thinking is going to change. And I told him that this is what's going to happen in this process, and I made sure he understood that before we took another step forward. So thinking hard again keeps you in the range of where you are today. So if you want to grow fast and big, which is completely possible, folks. The challenge with this is your current level of thinking has not yet expanded to the level at which you aspire to go, which means there must be times in your life when you overrule your current frame and your current level of thinking so that you can move to a different frame and a higher level of thinking, which leads to a higher level of doing, which leads to a higher level of accomplishment. You to get to a higher level of achievement, you have to change your actions. And to change those actions, you must change the way that you think, because we cannot act in a way that is incongruent with the way that we think over a consistent period of time. It is scientifically impossible. For your accomplishments to change, your actions have to change, but your actions cannot change until your mindset changes. Your thinking must change first. The challenge for a bunch of people, and I talk to a lot of people on a consistent basis. The challenge for a lot of people is that they think they can change their actions without changing their mindset. Oh, I just need to do this. How many of you ever had this I just need to disease? I just need to disease is something that I see a lot. As a person who works in personal and professional development, I hear this all the time from people. I just need to. I just need to do this and that'll work. Or if you just, and then you got the people who think based on their limited amount of knowledge that they can give somebody else advice. Well, if you just did this, then these things would happen. Like, really? Okay. I just need to disease. And there's the reason why this is a disease, because it is based on you theorizing that your current level of thinking is enough to get you to a much higher level of accomplishment. This is wrong. It's wrong on every level. In order for you to get to a much higher level of accomplishment, I'm talking like 10 times where you are right now, most of the ways that you think right now need to be thrown in the garbage if you want to go to a higher level. Now, if you want to stay where you're at, keep thinking what you think. Now, again, look at your life. Look at your last 5 years. That's pretty much what your next 5 years are going to look like if you keep your way of thinking. Now, if you want to go to a much higher level, a good percentage, a good chunk of the way you currently think must be discarded and tossed aside and replaced with something else. Again, this is a choice. I'm not telling you have to do this. I'm just telling you if you want this, then this has to happen. This is an if-then statement, is what we say. Those of you in the computing world, you'll know how that works. If you want this, then we got to do that. That's it. For you to ascend to a higher level, you must deal with the uncertainty of not knowing some things. You got to deal with, you need courage. This is where you need courage, not confidence. Yeah. This requires courage was based on the unknown future, not confidence was based on your known past. And we got an episode coming on this juxtaposition very soon. All right, I'll be talking about that in more detail. With that out the way, let's recap today's class, which is do not overthink it. The definition of overthinking is to think about something too much or for too long. And again, this is a relative term. Too much or too long are based on the parameters you have set for yourself. When you are clear what you want, like in work on your game world, when you know what you want, any added time to the situation is too much, and because of that, things end up taking too long. Number one, when you see an opportunity you want, take it. Figure out the justification of it later. Act now, figure it out later. Point number two, set up principles and rules for yourself and always follow them. These are also known as parameters, systems, standards, standard operating procedures. You heard these phrases before. That's exactly what that is. And number three, thinking is based on what you currently know and who you currently are. So anytime you take time to think about something, all you're doing is drawing yourself deeper. You're making the grooves deeper into what you already believe and what you've already decided that you want to do. All you're doing is buying time and adding time to a situation, which is an error in the work on your game world. All right, do not add time to a situation. If you know you're going to do something, just go do it. All right, don't overthink it, as the topic here is today. All that said, text me so you're in my text community. You get my messages, my daily and my weekly motivation messages. My number is 305-384-6894. WorkOnYourGameUniversity.com. If you want to work with me directly, get coached by me. The only place to do so, the only way to do so is by joining the university at WorkOnYourGameUniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre, all